So let's start today's class. I think everybody have joined the class, isn't it? So let me share my screen. Okay, let me share my screen to you. Just wait a minute. Am I audible? Okay. Let me check how many students have joined. Now my screen is visible to you. Okay. So I think we have left one topic in last class, that was shear stress distribution. Okay, so I have already discussed about velocity distribution, isn't it? So what about shear stress distribution? Shear stress, all of you I think know what is shear stress. So to find out the shear stress, we have to consider we have already discussed this topic, pressure drop, isn't it? Pressure head, that is the height of water, and pressure head is generally denoted by HF. So ultimately we have got HF, drop in pressure head, HF equal to P1 minus P2 divided by rho g. So to find out shear stress distribution, we have to go back to the Newton's law of viscosity. As we know, according to Newton's law of viscosity, tau equal to mu del u by del y. Okay, tau equal to mu del u by del y. So these terms we have got already. And in place of u, you just put the value of u, velocity distribution equation. So the equation will be this one, minus 1 by 2 mu del p by del x ty minus y square. So ultimately after solving, we have got mu into minus 2 mu del p by del x t minus 2y. and ultimately we have got the shear stress value equal to minus half del p by del x t minus 2y. So to find out the shear stress distribution across the two fixed parallel plate, what we have to do, we have to consider two boundary conditions. Okay, one is at, if you consider at y equal to 0, 10, shear stress will be maximum, and if you consider y equal to t by 2, that means in the middle of the plate the shear stress will be 0. Okay, so in this equation we have got shear stress is directly proportional to y. So if y equal to 0, shear stress will be maximum. That means maximum shear stress occur near the boundary, near the solid boundaries. Okay, can you see the figure? In this figure it is clear that the maximum shear stress is occur near the two solid boundaries, and minimum shear stress will occur near the center of the plate. Tau max will be this one, near the boundary, solid boundaries, and minimum velocity will occur at the center of the plates. Okay, so this is how we find out the velocity shear stress distribution diagram for a laminar flow if the flow is flowing through two fixed parallel plates. Okay, I think up to this topic everything is clear to you. Okay, so can we move to the next topic, today's topic? So today we are going to discuss about laminar flow through circular pipes. Then ultimately we have to derive Heisen-Poiseuille's theory. Okay, Heisen-Poiseuille's theory. So laminar flow in circular pipes and Heisen-Poiseuille's theory. To find out Heisen-Poiseuille's equation, we have to consider two basic assumptions. So let's study what are they. So we have to consider two assumptions on the basis of which we are going to derive the Heisen-Poiseuille's equations, and these assumptions are: number one, the viscous property of fluid follows Newton's law of viscosity, that is mu equal to u del u by del y. And second condition is there is no relative motion between the fluid particles and the solid boundaries, that is at the that is at the boundaries there should be no slip of fluid particles. Okay. In the figure 7.4 you can see the laminar motion of fluid in a horizontal circular pipe which is located at a sufficiently great distance from the entrance section when a steady laminar flow occurs in a straight stretch of horizontal pipe. So, across the pipe a pressure gradient will be maintained in the direction of flow to overcome the frictional force on the concentric cylindrical surface. Each concentric cylindrical layers of the fluid is assumed to be slide over the other in an axial direction. For practical purpose, the pressure may be regarded as distributed uniformly over any cross section of the pipe. You can see in the figure laminar motion of fluid in a horizontal circular pipe, and across the pipe a pressure gradient must be maintained in the direction of flow to overcome the frictional forces on the concentric cylindrical surface as shown in figure. The assumption which we have considered, these are various. The viscous property of the fluid follows Newton's law of viscosity, and there is no relative motion between fluid particle and solid boundaries. This is the figure of a concentric cylindrical surface. Each concentric cylindrical layer fluid is assumed to be slide over the other in an axial direction. For practical purpose, the pressure may be regarded as distributed uniformly over any cross section of the pipe. So, what we have to consider, let us consider two cross section of the pipe. Cross section 1 is situated at a distance x1, cross section 2 is situated at a distance x2 from the entrance of the pipe. L is the distance between the two cross section. The boundaries are solid boundaries. Radius of the pipe is r0. Okay, so let us consider a small cylindrical element of fluid which having length del x, situated at a distance y from the lower fixed boundary, and r is the radius of the cylindrical fluid particle. So, on the fluid element, on the cylindrical fluid element, there will be two forces acting, pressure force and shear force. In one, pressure force P into pi r square will occur on the surface, and this force will act along with the direction of flow. Another pressure force will occur against this pressure force, which is given by P plus del P by del x into dx whole into pi r square. It means pressure into area, that will give pressure force. Again, here on the fluid element, only one shear stress will occur along the whole surface, and that shear stress is given by tau into 2 pi r into dx, where dx is the length of the fluid element. So, the shear force will be given by tau into 2 pi r into dx. So, three forces will act, two forces acting against the flow, and one force is acting towards the flow along with the direction of flow. So, as we know, a concentric cylinder of fluid is considered as free body. Since laminar motion of fluid is steady, the momentum equation for the fluid is given by, that means the summation of all the three forces will be 0. So, if you add all the forces, then it will come as P pi r square minus P plus del P by del x into dx whole pi r square minus tau into 2 pi r into dx equal to 0, okay, which after simplification we will have, after simplifying the above equation, P pi r square terms will be cancelled, and we will get shear stress value equal to del P by del x into r divided by 2. So let's move to the next slide. Yes, here you can see that the summation of all forces, as I have already told you, the summation of all the forces will be 0. So after simplifying, we will get an equation tau equal to minus del p by del x r divided by 2. The pressure gradient del p by del x in the direction of flow depends on x direction only for any given case of laminar flow. The minus sign indicates a decrease of fluid pressure in the direction of flow in a horizontal pipe. Since flow work must be performed on a free body to compensate for the frictional resistance to the flow, the above equation shows that shearing stress is 0 at the center of the pipe. That means at r equal to 0, the shear stress will be 0, and it will increase linearly with the distance with the distance r from the center, attaining its maximum value tau naught equal to minus del p by del x into r naught divided by 2 at the pipe of the wall, that is at r equal to r naught. That means at r equal to r naught, we will have maximum shear stress value. According to the first assumption, we have shear stress equals to mu del u by del y. Since y is equal to r naught minus r, it follows del y equals to del r. Newton's law of viscosity then becomes tau equal to mu del u by del r, in which the minus sign predicts mathematically that u decreases with r. That means velocity decreases with radius of the fluid element. If you combine the above equation of shear stress, then after combining we will get an equation del u equal to 1 by 2 mu del p by del x r dr. Since del p by del x is not a function of r, the integration of this differential equation with respect to r, which yields an expression for the point velocity u, and u will be given by 1 by 4 mu del p by del x r square plus c. The integration constant c can be evaluated by means of the second assumption that u equal to 0 at r equal to r naught. Therefore, c equal to minus del p by del x whole into r square divided by 4 mu, and ultimately we will get an equation which we have u equal to 1 by 4 mu minus del p by del x r naught square minus r square, which resembles with an equation of a parabola. So the velocity distribution diagram across this circular pipe will be a parabolic. Varies parabolically along a diameter, and the velocity distribution is a paraboloid for evolution of laminar flow in a straight. The point velocity varies parabolically along a diameter, and the velocity distribution is a paraboloid of revolution for laminar flow in a straight circular pipe. The maximum point velocity u max occurs at the center of the pipe and has the magnitude u max equal to 1 by 4 mu del p by del x minus del p by del x whole r square r naught square. From the above equation, the point velocity can be expressed in the terms of c equal to u max 1 minus r by r naught whole square. Okay. So To find out the Richer's, the volumetric rate of flow q through any cross section, the radius r naught is obtained by the integration of dq, small l, Richer's dq. dq will be u dA. So, u dA will be 1 by 4 mu minus del p by del x, r naught square minus r square 2 p r del r dr. So, the q value of, if you integrate this equation from 0 to r naught, we will get an equation pi by 8 mu del p by del x r naught square. The average velocity v is q by a. So, v will be q divided by pi r naught square equal to 1 by 8 mu minus del p by del x r naught square. Comparing the above equation, we will get v equal to u max divided by 2, and this equation is rearranged in the following way, and then integrated with respect to x for any straight squares of pi between x1 and x2. Ultimately, we will have to find out the pressure drop, and if you can integrate the above equation, pressure drop we will find as P1 minus P2 equal to 8 mu V L r naught square equal to 32 mu V L. So, this is generally called as Hagen-Poiseuille's equation.